What's up, guys? This is Triros International, and we are back for a post-match. This is post-match against Lamia, the final match before the international break, and Triros go perfect into the international break. Got a lot to talk about today, but before we do, of course, I'd like to welcome my co-host Marcial and Costa. Boys, how are you doing today?
Super fine for me.
Costa?
3 out of 3. Happy as can be.
Doesn't get much better than that. So before we start getting into it, everyone, don't forget to take a quick second and subscribe if you don't already. Every engagement helps us find more red and white fans. It doesn't take anything from you. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it means everything to us. So quickly take a second, hit that like button, help us find and grow the red and white community. And then you can also support us on Patreon if you don't already. For $1 a month, you can get access to the WhatsApp group. It doesn't matter when the sun is rising or setting. I promise you there's somebody there to engage with you. Some lively debates, lively discussion all the time, and it also gets pretty ridiculous. Marcial will send you also some very interesting cooking videos that you've probably never seen before in your life. So yet another reason for you to check out Patreon. We also have extra content as well. There's multiple tiers, and one of the tiers you can get extra things. We interview people outside of the realm of Olympiacos. We talked to Katia Koksenoglu, the CEO of Atromiros, which was the latest interview, and more of those are coming. So check that out, patreon.com/Triros7international.com. So boys and girls, we're going to get into it now. Post-match, big win, statement win after all of the griña, the complaining, the fasaria, the noise following the Podence transfer news that he's going to Saudi Arabia. He is not going to be coming to Olympiacos after all. Big win from a team that is incomplete. 2 missing pieces, especially in the offense, which Nicola Koplos said are going to be coming by Wednesday, which is the registration deadline for our UEFA list for the Europa League, the league stage. So big win. Boys, how did we see the game today? Costa, you can go ahead and get started.
Well, first thing is to say, remind ourselves that this is a fixture last season where we slipped up. We lost 1-0 against Lamia away from home in a game where we played with Fortunis and Podence, the 2 players that are the topic of much discussion, particularly this past days, weeks. So, it's also a team that's picked up 4 points first 2 games of the season. I think it was the trickiest out of the 3 fixtures we've played so far. Going into the international break, it was super important to win today, and kind of lift us out of the other discussions that are happening in around the club. It was just the most important thing today was to win. We did it pretty convincingly with 3 good goals against a team that stunned Ajax last week and the rest of the league, if I can say that. It wasn't easy, and it took, a great pass from Chiquinho from behind over the top to find KAABI, who, nodded it over the keeper, and then, the game opened up and we could have finished it sooner. But at the end of the day, all's good, ends well, 3-0. We'll get into the game more. Shout out to Zolakis as well. I think he makes a big save in the 30th minute when the score's still 0-0, and they've gone away on this counter-attack, and it's just, one of those saves that you expect from Olympiacos goalkeeper. Often in these games, Olympiacos goalkeeper is a bystander, has nothing to do, and he's called on once, twice a game, and he came up big there as well. So wanted to give him some kudos for that save, because it could have got complicated if you go down against Lamia. But yeah, that's my opening statement.
Marcial.
Well, I totally agree with Costa, because I think Lamia away is basically what was can you do it on a rainy day in Stoke, for example, in the UK. It's the typical Greek away game you will face, and as it applies to newcomers like Velde, for example, like Pirola, but also to Gelson Martins. The fact that Gelson Martins was that good today means he's more than ready, because when you win 3-0 in Lamia, it means the team is ready. Like, the team is missing some players, that's true, but the team is ready. And the start of the season with 3 victory out of 3 games shows that. And it also shows that the friendlies, when you have new qualifiers, have no importance in terms of results. Of course, if you lose 10-0 every game, it's starting to get worried. But what we missed was a full preseason of getting fit, and it plays a role. It plays a role because even with missing players, Mendilibar has a squad of 20, 25 players more than ready. He just has to pick players, and it wasn't the case before. It wasn't the case the years before, because when Martinez came, he has a team of like 13, 15 players, and it took almost until January to have the whole team ready. And Mendilibar is the main asset of Olympiacos. That's my point. I want to introduce the podcast with that. As long as we have Mendilibar, I can't be pessimistic.
Absolutely. And the game plan today, we knew that this was going to be another defensive team. That's the first 3 games. We were against teams that were going to low block us. They were going to get bodies behind the ball. And the important thing today was to prove that we had creativity to get into the final third. We had plenty of opportunities today. We had absolutely a number of opportunities inside the penalty area, more at least than we did last year, or sorry, last week against Galicia, I should say. We did much better penetrating the final third, penetrating the penalty area. We couldn't get some of those early looks. The Lamia goalkeeper had an amazing game, or especially early on. I mean, the save against Veld's pass, Gelson Martins, that when he had the one-on-one, and then he also had another shot where he was kind of off balance, but still got a nice little shot off. The keeper had some very nice saves. We had plenty of good looks. So for me, and I know somebody had said in our WhatsApp chat that the team was in the first half before we scored, that the team kind of looked not sluggish. I'm forgetting what the word that he used was. But if this is what a poor Olympiacos looks like, I will take that performance, because I can't wait to see what a great Olympiacos looks like. And an incomplete side to have this type of performance, knowing that we're missing especially a couple of offensive pieces, to see this type of performance is huge. It means a lot, because now you bring 2 more profiles, and I know we'll get into those later, but like, you know, whether it's a Ziyech or a Yazisi, those types of looks to add to what we already have, this offense is going to look very good. So I on my part am quite excited. And I also believe we need to talk about when the substitution happened, when Pirola came off for the injury and Carmo came on. The build-up out of the back looked a lot different with Carmo there, and I don't think that's a coincidence either. That's also something I believe that we should discuss.
Just want to jump on this, because it's the last game of August, and look at who's coming in. We have Yaremchuk, played the last Euro. You have Masuras. I'm going to present Masuras. You have Carmo that comes in, and the last one is who's the last one that came in? Yeah, Costinha. Probably the best right back of the Portuguese league last season. That says it all for me. I can't agree more with what you say, Ari. If it's that mediocre Olympiacos, then so be it. But the good Olympiacos would be even better.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is, you know, we get attached to players, right, from previous seasons. And when you don't get that player back, the player that you had that attachment to, it doesn't matter who else you're looking at. You refuse to see the quality that other players have for you. So when players like Veld come on, or, well, I guess it doesn't really apply to Costinha because we didn't lose a right back. But when some of these players come on and do things, and they play well, it's hard for some people to be able to see that, oh, hey, this guy has qualities that are going to be very good for us this year, maybe better than what we had last year, because you're missing some of those pieces that you wanted to have from the previous season. And that's what I've noticed a lot about, especially on social media, the Twitter spaces, that people have been saying, you know, when they look at this, because it's not maybe that they have a bad opinion of other players. It's just the opinion is so focused on not getting the player they wanted, the specific individual, that they refuse to see what's available to us and the quality that's available on this team. So in that respect, I think that's part of what we're dealing with here, and it's what we're going to deal with at least until after the deadline. But today was clear that, you know, the team is not missing much, and a couple more attacking pieces, and we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I wanna touch on a few things. I see there are people in the chat still want to talk about Podence, still want to talk about transfers. We're going to talk about transfers later, guys. Obviously, we have until the 4th. That's, well, Tuesday midnight next week, to complete our moves and register our squad for UEFA competition. There are two things I want to talk about. Is the topic of creativity. We've talked about Chiquinho. Chiquinho is pretty much the only player that can play that 10 role, unless you can consider Muzakidis as well, who I would consider like he's a first team player. Muzakidis is a first team player. I hope he gets games this season. I think he's very creative. He's got good vision. Yes, he's not mature. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but I think, you know, I believe in that kid for some reason. I've seen something that I really like. But to stick to Chiquinho and this topic of creativity and lack thereof, so just some stats from today's game. So Chiquinho finishes the game with 1 assist, the assist that unlocks the game. He has 4 key passes, 13 progressive passes, and 4 out of 5 dribbles won, and 8 out of 12 duels won. 4 key passes today. I think that's impressive. I'm not saying that we don't have an issue in that position, because if he gets injured, who steps in? Who steps into that role? There's no one really aside from Muzakidis, unless you play Masuras as a second striker or Velde. But it's not the same. Like you're losing something there. You need a player. But what I'm trying to say is there is some creativity even in this team that's not complete, clearly, from what we saw today. Players with talent and ability. I preferably would like to see Chiquinho play further back. He even said that in his post-match comments. Like sometimes in these kinds of games anyway, he's forced to come back and look for the ball. And even the assist that he makes, I think he's around the halfway line. He picks it up, he looks up, and he plays the ball over the top. So I just wanted to say a few words about Chiquinho. And then the second thing you touched on, Ari, about Carmo, is not taking anything away from Lorenzo Pirola. I think he had another really solid outing today. Don't know why he's come off. Must have had a knock. But Carmo, for me, just changed the game, man. I mean, is 1-0, and you're expecting Olympiacos to dominate possession and go and get the second goal, control the game. And as soon as he came on, his confidence and his presence, it lifted the team psychologically, his teammates, but it lifted us further forward on the field too. I mean, he was coming forward, he was getting headers, winning duels, and just calm on the ball, playing the ball progressive, and it just elevated us in so many ways. Again, on the field itself, the defense stepped up, and it allowed players to get forward. And just I mentioned it after the Forest game. The Forest game for me revealed two things. That the two biggest losses on the field for me weren't Fortounis or Podence. I'm not just saying that. Iborra and Carmo were the players missing for me on the field. So like, those two leaders that just gave direction and confidence to everybody else to play at their 100% and not be worried about what's going on behind them. Yeah. So let's not understate what it means bringing him back, regardless of the formula and how it was done. It's a massive, massive transfer, bringing him back. And he played with Doi today. Let's see when Aretos comes back. I hope his injury is nothing serious and that we'll see him after the international break. He's not going with the national team anymore. But also something to look out for later on in the season that I was thinking about. Can you imagine in some games in Europe, maybe like Porto away or even Lyon, I don't know. We saw this in some friendlies, 3 at the back. Like Carmo, Pirola, and Aretos with Rodinei and Ortega on the wings, like just something that came to my mind. Something we might see later on this season.
Yeah, and more onto that with not with Chiquinho and Carmo, by the way, Costa. I know you brought up the dual figure, but Chiquinho is so important on the press. We have to remember in Mendilibar's press, we say this a lot, but we have to sometimes repeat it for people. Our primary strategy, our primary goal is to press to win. As much as we build out of the back against these teams, the press is our offense. It is. That's the primary piece. And Chiquinho's role, especially when he's playing in that 10, we'll say, right behind the striker, his role is to be helping the striker, El KAABI in this case, press so that the ball can be played wide and then our midfielders can lay the press trap. That's his primary role. So with respect to what the pressing strategy is, the only other player that fills that pressing role as well as Chiquinho does is Masuras. But then you lose some of the creativity, like some of the stuff that Chiquinho did today, flicking the ball over the defender to go and play forward, playing the ball for the goal, for El KAABI's goal. That type of stuff, unfortunately, if Chiquinho's not available, you're going to have to mix and match to pick the things that you want. And when it comes to Pirola, if Retos is next to him, Retos has some of that ball playing ability. Plus, he likes to carry the ball forward, and that's nice to have. So when you have Doi and Pirola together, you don't get that extra added offensive. Well, I don't want to say pressure, but offensive ability, progressive ability, as you were saying.
It's flat.
Right. It stays flat, which is okay. Like not every team or club can be blessed with 2 ball-playing center backs at a time. We happen to have 2. One is injured. But the second Carmo came on, you really got a feel for what an 11 million euro plus 4 center back is like. I mean, the guy, he came in. Did he lose anything in the air? I don't think so.
No.
At least not that I remember. And even like anything that came near him, he swept it up pretty easily. Played the ball forward. The guy's very accurate long ball forward. What can you say? You have him at Retos next. Yeah, but he really is. Like we're really lucky to have him. And in the grand scheme of things, and I had to do a lot of reflecting on this. In the grand scheme of things, if we're talking about what we needed more to build for success in this season, and you had to pick one, whether it was Carmo or Podence, which one are you picking? I think before the issues that we saw in the maybe before the end of the preseason, I would have told you probably Podence because I thought the defense had looked good. But now that we've seen what we've seen from the defense, I think it's very clear that the opposite is true. We needed somebody to bolster the defense because we were leaky in the first couple of games.
He was my BAM. Carmo was my BAM. So that's the one. I think I said it after Conference League when we were talking and, we didn't know who's coming back and we had this discussion. It's like, which one's the hardest to bring back? I think if you'd asked us back then or anyone, I think everyone would have been like, there was this vibe that Podence is coming back. No matter what happens,
Right.
it's going to go down. We were saying it like it's going to go down to the wire. We didn't want to believe what was coming out about Saudi. His demands. He can ask whatever the hell he wants. He's a professional footballer. He's being offered top dollar from the Saudis. It's his right, like as a professional, to ask us for whatever he wants to. But I didn't. You know, I was one of those that thought, at the end of the day, we're going to make it happen because he wants to, the club wants to, we'll find a way. We didn't in the end. And you know, whose fault it is, we can have a big discussion. You know, some people want to blame the board. Others want to blame no one, but explain it and say, okay, Podence wanted this. And it's not about blaming. It's just both sides have to want. And in this occasion, they didn't. And here we are now talking about Podence. But to stick to the topic, I think all of us probably thought that one was the easiest. And Carmo was the hardest.
Yep.
Yeah?
I did say that. I thought Carmo for sure was the hardest. And for me, that was the lowest probability. I thought we would be able to keep, at the time, Fortunis. I thought we would be able to keep Horta. I thought we'd be able to keep Podence much easier than Carmo. He was my one that was like, man, it would be a dream if you kept him. And then he was the one that, of all of them, that's the one that we ended up being able to keep. It is, you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. But you know what? There's so much behind what went on with Podence that people either are maybe not willing to accept or maybe just don't understand. It is, but it is what it is. It happened. And now you have to move on and you have to go and you have to build with what you have and search other things.
The thing on Carmo for me is that we never, the debates were about like getting an experienced player, but it's the quality we need. But when you have superior quality coming like that, you see the difference. It just needed to come in for half an hour, and we saw that it was probably the best overall players in the pitch, not only because of his level, but about what he brings to the team. Like we saw the team changing, and it's quality that the team needed, and it's that what frustrates me over the Fortunis or Podence saga is that we were only talking about a player like that. Will it be better than Podence? Will it be better than Fortunis? The quality at the end of it matters. It's not. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but it's Olympiacos needed quality. Like in January when we signed Chiquinho, Horta, Carmo, those were quality players. Yeah, of course, sometimes you need a Jovetic, you need a Iborra to connect the locker room and stuff like that. But also, Jovetic and Iborra were quality players too. It's the quality that makes the difference at the end of it.
Yes, and at this stage, even the fact that we don't have Podence, Fortunis has gone to Saudi Arabia. You know, we can talk about the place that they went later. They went where they went. I even losing all of those assets, all of those players that we weren't able to keep. I still prefer the business that's been done because it's been measured. Everything makes sense. The strategy is clear. What we're mincing words about, what we're getting upset about is specifics, like the individual players we wanted, the names that we are familiar with from last season. I will always prefer that strategy 100 times over what we had the years prior. Names all over the place, signing 30 players here, 30 players here. Don't forget, there was another this was another summer of almost 40 players leaving between the first team and the B team. Let's not forget that. We've had 3 straight summers of 40 players, almost 40 players or more leaving every summer. 120 players leaving your club in 3 years. That is not healthy. So the fact that this year everything was much more measured, exodus of stuff we didn't need, I'd rather have this business, even if it means I'm losing those assets. I prefer this type of business than I do whatever we saw the last couple summers.
37 players left so far this season.
37.
Like, either released or loaned or transferred.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Off the book. Yeah.
The article the blog I did last year said that last summer we got rid of like 43. That's not healthy. Like, no club should be saying they're getting rid of 40 players in a window. That is not good. That is not healthy at all. I'd much rather the business where we're bringing in what we need and not an army of people that are going to clog up the locker room and create issues. No thanks. Not at all. I know we got sidetracked from the discussion of the post-match, but I mean, since we're sidetracked anyway, do you just want to address the Podence thing?
Should we look at some comments?
Let's do that.
Should do a few comments. Legend 7. This is Stavros from Australia. I met at the Nottingham Forest friendly. Big up to Stavros. I don't know if you're listening in from Australia. Can't remember the time difference, but it must be like 5 in the morning. What time is it over there? Waking up, going to work. Yeah, it's 6:30 in Melbourne. So big ups to Stavro from Melbourne and everybody else that's listening to us from down under. Road to Nothingness. I think this is a new sub. I think Fortounis is a bigger loss than Podence, he says. Christos Khodroyani says Yusuf Yazici would be a pick from the top draw. I just want to... I'm going to ask Marshall about this one again. Anybody that watched our daily transfer roundup a couple of days ago, this is a name that popped up. Marshall, I know that you're keen on this one. Like, can you speak to this potential transfer, what he would bring?
Yeah, if we were getting Yazici last summer, it would be slightly different because he was coming back a loan back to Trabzonspor that wasn't very good. Well, I watched no game for him in Trabzonspor, let's be honest. But he had another the last season of his contract in Lille. I think the club decided to keep him because he was a good profile, and he had not only a full season, but I think he's a very talented player. We're talking about someone that Lille paid over 20 million, almost 20 million to get. We're talking about someone that scored an hat-trick in San Siro away. I don't think a lot of players did that in their career. He's 27. I think he's peaking both technically, tactically, and physically because he had a serious injury in the knee. I think it was 2 years ago. I like this player because he's quite elegant, and it would fill a gap in the team because we do like a player that is creative, that can score goal from inside, outside the box. I think it's very complete. I'm not trying to tell you that he's prime Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think given our needs, our financial potential, the fact that he's free agent, I think it's a very good option, and we'll answer the question of Lakis. That's the question. I don't have an answer, but I think we should ask ourselves. The market has been complicated, but no one tried to get Tsolakis on a free. I mean, good player, a good player, like a goalkeeper. Even Masouras, even El KAABI. I think that the market is very weak this summer. Yazici probably tried to get a big offer from Saudi Arabia, probably never got it, and all the club are reluctant to pay for that player. I don't understand why. I don't think it indicates that is a bad solution, but they would rather go for. I've seen, for example, in League One, clubs like Lyon would sign Wilfried Zaha on loan. Does it make sense? I don't think so, but that's the reality.
Also, Yazici is Leo's all-time European goal scorer, right? Like he has them. So now here's the other thing. So earlier this month, because Galatasaray are supposed to be interested in him as well. A couple of teams are talking with him, but he wants a 2 million euro signing bonus. So, he's a free agent. So obviously, when you're a free agent, sometimes signing bonuses are like they're less than paying a fee that you would from a team, but that it's part of the market. It is what it is. And he wants 1.6 million a year. So maybe the 2 million signing bonus is something that's difficult for teams. I'm sure it's something that we wouldn't like to pay either. But that's kind of what he wants. And that is budget for us. Like if he's asking, he was making 1.1 at Lille this past season. 1.1, 1.6. That's within our budget. We're looking there. It's just the 2 million signing bonus that he wants. Last I checked, that can be amortized. So depending on his contract, but still, that's it is the signing bonus is probably what's kind of scaring people away. But there's a lot of teams that are looking at him. That could be why he hasn't signed a deal yet.
The thing I want to add is that Yazici has 7 goals in 12 games of Europa League, 5 goals in 12 games of Conference League. For what we need, for what the reality of Olympiacos is right now, I think it's difficult to find a profile that ticks so many boxes. It's quite costly, but not too costly. It's the kind of player that you can sell after 1 or 2 seasons. He's still going to attract interest in Turkey if you want to offload him later. If you have to admit,
he's 27.
Maybe, yes, 27. Wasn't the Euro? I mean, but the question of why has nobody signing him? It's the same question with different level of it about why no one will go for Fortunis on a free. Why Podence hands up in Saudi Arabia for that money? Sometimes the market is crazy. Like maybe he has an agent that doesn't have strong connection. Maybe he wants a very big deal because he's free. He could have stayed in Lille because they play Champions League too.
Milan were linked with him in July, and I had read an article that the same thing. He was asking about 2 million signing bonus, 1.6 million, and AC Milan was not interested in paying it. Apparently, their budget's a little bit more strict this year. I guess they have some financial trouble. So it's not a small amount. You're front loading cost in the first year. If you sign him to a 3-year deal, right? So it's difficult.
When was the last time we had a number 10 with the long hair tied in the back, 90s haircut like that?
Jimmy Durmaz.
I was about to say Durmaz is the last one I could think of. But
it's the definition of elegance. You know what I mean?
Well, there was sorry, it's all coming back to me now. Do you remember Datolo that came from Napoli on January, like a loan? But with the hair, you go back to Giovanni.
Yeah, Chori too. It's
Chori. Yeah. Those are the kinds of players you want, man. If you can, the slick back, long hair, flowing in the Karaiskaki with a banger of a left foot. This guy's left-footed, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah,
I think he's left-footed too.
Yeah,
it's something we're missing, isn't it? Don't have a left-footed Idravlikos, as we say, kind of player. He can play on the wing, but he can play in the hole too.
Also, the thing is, last season he played over 40 games. I mean, he's coming probably one of his most consistent season ever. He's not someone that needs to be relaunched. Like it's not Jovetic that would take that needed almost 6 months to get back into the reality of the team. So, if you look at the free agents, you don't have lots of profiles, and I don't dislike Podence. That's not true.
Can we talk about this comment from our friend Lagis, the forever optimist? Offensively, he says Velde has inability to connect with anyone but himself. Heze or Stamenic need to step in the box to break down 9-man defenses.
You're not going to see that Laki a lot this year. Did you notice the first 3 games we haven't pushed the second midfielder up that high because we were getting eaten on the counterattack with that? It's not happening this year.
What do you think about this comment about Velde? People are saying he gets lost sometimes in the game. I mean, saying that, I think he's had at least 3 shots on goal. He loves that little move down the left, and just any chance he gets to cut inside and shoot with his right foot, he's going to take it. I personally find that he's if he hasn't got it already, he's growing a connection with Ortega down the left. I think I've said it before. I think language helps. because we know the guy speaks Spanish. He's got roots from Argentina, so I think that helps. We saw it in the last game with the goal that he scored that was fed by Ortega, but it's kind of normal too. I mean, he's come later on into the preseason. Yes, he played in I think the last 3 friendlies, but is this a fair comment? Like in terms of his inability to connect, is he being lost in the game more than Pedence was lost in some games? Because you can apply that to Pedence too. 87, 88 minutes in the game where you think, where is he? And then he'll pop up. He's got we all know the quality. What do we think of this?
I don't think Lucky is completely incorrect there.
But
We saw some of today, right? What things that I have been worried about for Veld, which was with the park buses, we'll say, right? When bodies are behind the ball, when he has space in front of them, and he goes like down the wing, and then he kind of cuts in that sweet spot he gets to right there at the top of the box. He has some nice shots that always seem to go on target, lifts him right over the defensive line and kind of like curls it in. He had another one that went just outside the goal today too. After that, it was in the second half. So but I mean, there's elements of that for sure. And I think, it's going to be up to him as a player to kind of figure out how to make adjustments. I would like to see him do more to connect with his teammates and play the ball, because I didn't see him play the ball much as a producer inside of the penalty area for his other teammates. It was mainly him taking shots or making a lot of dribbles. I would like to see more of that. But I think, it's going to be a growing pain for him. It is still a concern of mine, but he's getting enough looks in a game to where I'm not going to be that worried. But there's something to Lucky's comment there. I know exactly what he's saying.
I agree. I think it needs to improve, of course, to become at the level of Olympiacos. But that's what you get when you want a winger. That's why I don't really agree with people always asking for wingers. Then you give them a winger that basically dribbles all game long, and they think, no, this guy is not good enough because he's dribbling too much, not passing the ball. But it's coming in a second time. Do you know what I mean? I think we wasted a lot of profiles over the last years because we wanted, like, let's talk about De La Fuente, for example. If you remember precisely the first game he had, in one game he had an assist to Rijo that missed the unmissable, if you remember that. That was pure winger stuff, like dribbling on the side, across in front of the goal, and you have Rijo missing an opener, a sitter. I think it was against Pacianina, but I'm not sure the team. And then he had the miss against Volos. But De La Fuente had the ability of dribbling, and that's what we want for a winger. So I'm going to be patient with Velde. I'm not comparing Velde to De La Fuente, of course, but from what I saw on the first half, is going to create danger. Inside the box, he can shoot from any position, most of the time on target or very slightly off target, and it's going to be valuable over the time, because against team like that, when we'll be leading, it will have more space. You just need to probably take a little bit some more risks, and I think by the time it's going to be better. But the winger position is very, I don't know, difficult. One of the winger I liked the most in Triple League was someone like Palacios, like doing pure winger work. Those players aren't really evaluated over a season because they don't have a lot of statistics. You know what I mean? And I agree with Costa saying how many games Pedence overall in his whole career at Olympiacos, if he made us forget how average he was in some games because he was scoring. And at the end of it, it's okay. But if Velde won't score as much, it will be criticized because people won't see what he can do on the game. That's my concern.
I'm with you there, Martial. Also, can we even say, let's say Veld doesn't improve against the buses of Greece, right? But once we bring the 2 other offensive players, other pieces into the team, he's still a different look for you. He's a more direct, more straightforward winger, as you already brought up. And if you bring two other pieces that give you different look, that's fine. That's balance. That's what you want anyway. So again, I'm not super pressed about this, but again, depending on what else we bring before the registration. But I think in the end, I'm not 100% worried about it. Real quick, guys, before we continue the discussion here, there's been quite a lot of you that have passed through. There's over 660 of you in here. We've had more than that pass through the show, and only 54 likes, guys. Come on. We can do a little bit better with that. Quickly take a second. It costs you nothing. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you like everything that you're here or that you hear from here. If you're following on X, there's a few hundred of you that's following on X as well. Consider joining us on YouTube. It's easier to engage and interact on YouTube, and then you can get direct reminders of when stuff is coming. So consider checking us out directly on YouTube if you're following over on X. And we would like to thank our newest patron, Notis SK. So Noti, thank you for joining the Patreon community. And you guys can get in on the action too. Just check out patreon.com/307 International. And oh my goodness. Stefano, Patreon legend here jumping in. Stefano, thank you so much for the donation, buddy. If you were in the Patreon chat, you would understand that joke. So join the Patreon chat and you can get it on the nonsense as well. Anyway, guys, kind of going back to the discussion at hand with Veld and our wingers. There was a comment that I saw. Somebody had said that they liked Panathinaikos' winger. Here it is, Christos Christou. Unpopular opinion, I think Panathinaikos at the moment has the best starter wingers. I don't trust Veld and Martins. I'm scared he'll be injured again. And
I agree. I agree with the second part. I think we all agree with the second part. But
yes.
Is he reminding you a little bit of the player that destroyed us in that 3-2 game, Olympiacos Sporting 3-2 at the Karaiskaki? There are flashes there. Yeah. But just he looks so much more confident in himself, and he looks good, man. There's another Matiaso, you know. Like yep. I don't want to jinx it. He looks good. He looks good, man. Lovely goal today too, though.
Very
great goal.
3 goal contributions in 3 games, Costa. 2 assists and a goal so far for Gelson. He's on fire.
I don't agree with the statement of our good friend Christo. I think we've clearly got the best starter wingers. It's just clearly a question of keeping them in a good rhythm throughout the season, not overburdening them. That's the key, is having options there, resting them at the right time, and taking care of them.
Yep.
But you know what it proves? It proves something that I've been saying for not years but months is that we need to let a second season to some players we sign, especially the permanent players, because there's so many of them comes from a context that is way different. And Gelson Martins was changing club for too many times, struggling to get playing time, so he was injured, so he was coming back, small amount of playing time, gets injured again, and those players, they were barely starters for months. As we need to let them having basically a second chance, because I was fearing for Gelson Martins to be offloaded this summer, honestly, because we don't know with this club, like we can offload players anytime. Not going to compare Gelson with Onyekuru, but I'm sure keeping Onyekuru for a second season, it would have been worse compared to what we signed after that. And I'm not talking about Podense, but you know, those players, they need full preseason no matter what we say.
Tell me I'm lying, but deep down, when we signed Gelson Martins in January, tell me that you didn't have in the back of your mind the following: that Podense is on loan, There's no guarantee that you're going to keep him. Guarantee. There's no guarantee you keep him in the summer. You bring in a player like Gelson Martins, who happens to be from the same academy, like school in Portugal. He was a Sporting Lisbon player. He was a teammate of Podence at Sporting Lisbon. Had, you know, the same kind of characteristics: flair, dribbling ability, speed. I've got, like, just thinking back to it, like, we criticize the club, or the club is criticized by fans, whether we agree or not, that, you know, we didn't plan well and this shouldn't have happened. But you could also say, like, signing Gelson Martins in January, there was a risk and it was a gamble. But it's like, you're paying 3 million for him when you paid 5 for Onyekuru and 6 for Biel. That looks to be a good bit of business so far. Knock on wood. It's early, but, you know, there was some foresight there. I think there was an opportunity. They took it, and bringing Velde in as well. So I think that's
incredible business with it. We have to say it.
Yeah.
And also, I think it shows that we have to consider every mercato one after one, because we had Chiquinho in January, basically on the same kind of deal that we took Gelson. The difference was Chiquinho was always more reliable physically, but he was not counted by Benfica, and it was hidden in the middle of all those loans. And look the difference Chiquinho, the fact that Chiquinho is permanent, made on this team. Because if we had to replace Chiquinho too, it would be a nightmare. Those permanent signings, they need also to have more continuity. I had no doubt about Chiquinho, but Gelson Martins, he needed continuity.
He did, Marcio. Like, that's it, man. He's too good for this league. He's entirely too good for this league.
Even myself, I think I don't understand. I don't realize who was Gelson Martins. Gelson Martins was basically Rafael Leao. That's got this kind of player. When Sporting Portugal produces a player that is aimed to the top, it's not for him to play for the Greek league. And Podence wasn't on that category. It was a good prospect in Sporting, but we're not talking about Gelson kind of prospect. Even if I don't think it means a lot right now, but and also let's not compare Gelson with Podence. I think it's not relevant.
I mean, we can talk about this now because we have information from, like, Wolves side too about this. If we want to actually get into the Podence and the Carapapa statement that Christo was talking about. And again, I don't want us to get into a discussion where all of a sudden people think like we're trashing Podence or one way or that's not the case. We had great memories with Podence and Fortunis as well. They took the money, they went elsewhere. It kind of is what it is. But the situation is, look, before we don't know the exact timeline of which one, but we know it was before that. Before the Saudi interest and the El KAABI deal, Podence was willing to accept what was offered to him. The problem was the 10 million pounds, which, by the way, Wolves did not back down from that until the deadline. They did not back down from it until the deadline. They were expecting an offer from Olympiacos. Then, around the time El KAABI came in, got his renewal, and the Saudis came in with interest, Podence wanted more money. He saw what he was able to get. He probably saw what El KAABI got, and he wanted more. It happens. 3 million net in Greece is not happening before bonuses. As much as any one of us would have liked Podence, this is a reality. Nobody in Greece is spending $3 million net on a player before bonuses and for a 5-year contract. It's impossible. It is not happening. That's it. That's the reality. So while everybody's upset and thinking that the club maybe didn't act fast enough, 10 million was not happening either. We had to make a deal through Nottingham Forest to make Carmo work. You think we could have done that twice? No. Can you put 10 million on our books, on the Olympiacos books? Absolutely not. So I think with what was said, it's just that was the situation. I think Olympiacos offered what they could offer, and then that was it. He took the bigger payday in Saudi Arabia. That is the story. It sucks, but you know, if Podence is asking for a wage we're never going to give, why are we going to make an offer? What is the logic? Why would anybody make an offer if you can't offer it? So that's the situation with Danny. And this isn't to say anything negative against him. It is what it is. He took the money and he left. But in this case, the club offered the money. At some point, he wanted more. And that's his prerogative. He can ask for more. But it doesn't mean the club can give it. So whether I agree on the Podence issue, of course I wanted him here. But guess what? Am I dead and heartbroken that he's gone? No, I'm not. Because I understand what the limits of the club are. Period. That's it. It's done.
Do you think this is maybe a crazy thought, and like I'm reopening the discussion? Martial's going to hate me. But is it possible that, okay, Carapaz wrote a message today. The president said what he said on television yesterday. It's so weird, man. Like, Podence got us good all summer, posting stuff about, you know, Olympiacos or Greece related. Going in his Instagram now, it's still like, you know, still the same picture. Has he signed for the other team? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I do believe that like he's got a connection to the club, and like I don't know if it's bridgeable. People want to have that discussion. I don't know. You never know in transfers, man. Like, anything can change, like from one moment to the next. Does he have a change of heart and be like, do you know what? Like, I don't want to go there and call us and be like, okay, I want to come. Give me what you were offering me. I don't know. It's like there's like a 0.1% chance of that happening, just like there was a 0.1% chance that we would win the competition after losing 4-1 to Maccabi. Maybe I'm completely off, but it is something that entered my mind. Again, just like looking at his presence online, at least, like, it's like, dude, change your fucking profile, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But look,
I don't know. Maybe I'm being romantic. And as Carapapa said, there's no more romanticism in football. Like,
right. And look, man, I would believe 100% that he does want to come back and he does love it here. I believe that 100%. But at the same time, this is a business, man. And let me tell you, Daniel Podence played the Olympiacos fan base like a fiddle. Yeah. Maybe he meant it. I would be willing to believe that he does cherish what he did here. He does love it here. I 100% believe that. I do. But at the same time, he played the fan base like a fiddle.
Do you think he's that clever? Do you think he's that clever?
Yeah. Based on what I've been told by every single person on the Wolves side of things, with how the transfers and why Wolves couldn't get rid of him sooner. Yes, I think that's exactly how he is. I think that's his. And I'm not saying this to demonize his personality. He is a good player, and I'm sure he loved it here. And he knew his position. I would have done the same thing. If I had a position of power like that, I would have done the same thing. Because I believe that he does have passion here. I do believe that he liked it here, but that is an opportunity. And it worked. Look at how the fan base reacted to it. Look. Look at it. Literally, it got to the point that the vice president of this club and the president of this club, who do not personally remark on transfers, came out and remarked on transfers. That tells you everything. He played his hand perfectly. Because guess what? In the end, he knew he was getting a good amount of money. So he said, guess what? My alternative is I make $5.5 million a season in Saudi Arabia. I can ask you for what I know is probably too much. And if you take it, you take it. I get paid and I get to play in a place I love. Otherwise, guess what? I get to cry making millions in a place that maybe sucks. It is what it is, guys. Some of you don't like to hear that. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And again, the personality that he has, and this isn't to demonize him, but every single person I've talked to that's close to Wolves has brought up how hard it is for Wolves to get rid of him because of his outlandish asks and what he wants. That's it. Otherwise, somebody would have paid $10 million months ago, but no offers came. That's it, guys.
I have 3 things to say about that. The first one is we have to remember how we got Podence, the way he left the club that basically made him in football. Second one is personal opinion in here, but the best way to get Podence back apparently was him going to Saudi Arabia and not being able to cope with the Saudi football for more than a year. Just like, for example, Jota that came back to the League One, just like every other player that resigned after one season because they don't even care about having a plan for football. And the third one is I would be in favor of, I don't know, I would probably back more Podence over the club if the fan base was backing every player that criticized Marinakis. And I'm talking about, for example, Madi Camara, talking about, I don't know, players that have been, even Miralas giving interviews recently. If we want to, like, it doesn't matter how good or bad those players are. The reality they put into the interviews when they do interviews, which is very rare, we have to acknowledge that. Otherwise, we can't speak about an issue that only concerns Podence being mistreated by the club, because it would apply to, I don't know, every player we mistreated. And some people seems to struggle to be to have the full picture, in my opinion.
And I have to put a disclaimer.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Marcel. No, go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter that Podence was more valuable to the club than Madi Camara. If both of them feel mistreated by Marinakis, we have to acknowledge the what they say in the same way. That's my sense.
Look, I probably need to. I'm going to put a disclaimer here. I loved Podence and Fortuny. I wanted both of them.
What does this mean? Like, come on, do you guys even mean that? Fuck off! Like, what
he was talking about my comment about Podence, that he played the fan base.
Of course he did.
And my again, I love the guy. I wanted him to come back. I was the one that brought up in the summer when we restarted the show again after like our couple-week hiatus, talking about how I thought it was important to keep him because of what he did. Trust me, like, and people got mad at me the same thing about Fortunis. Like, Fortunis was my favorite player at this club, and he left. People, but because I bring up the reality of certain situations, people get upset with me. He was my favorite player at this club. Podence was also one of my favorites. I still have a Podence jersey from 10 years ago. Or not 10 years ago. 5 years ago, sorry. Excuse me.
We also need to have more pride as fans too.
Right.
Is this an important development?
Oh, that is, because they needed to move Carrasco on.
Because Carrasco plays for Al Shabab, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And they needed to move the contract to free up the funds. That was the only way they could do it. That is huge. That is huge. Yeah. I still don't think it's going to happen, though. You know, I don't think so. If that's the wage demand, then I don't think it's you know what I mean. The club's still not going to do it, and unless he buckles on the wage demands. But to to again point what I said before, playing the fan base because a couple of people didn't like that. What do you call it when the player at that point knows that he's asked for something that's very difficult and then continues to share those things that he knows the players go insane about or that the fans go insane about? What do you call it, Costa? If I know I'm asking for an amount of money that is at a ceiling of a club I want to be, and and then all of a sudden I'm sharing this stuff that's making fans go nuts, I know it's putting pressure on the club. I'm not saying he's doing it with bad intent. I'm not saying that he doesn't love the club and he's not enjoying and just, he wants to relive that. I believe he loves it here. I do. I believe he loves it here. I believe he has a passion about Olympiacos here. But you cannot deny to me that when you know that that's going on in the back of your head, that he didn't know what he was doing. I refuse to believe that. I still love him as a player. I would still with open arms take him back at this club in a heartbeat. I'm just saying, you can't tell me he did not know deep down what he was doing. Yeah.
So I don't know what more to say like on the topic, but there's a couple of different questions here, right? The first is, if we're bringing him in as a winger, then who do you take out? Velde or Gelson Martins? Okay, to some it might be an easy answer. Are you also bringing him in to play a second striker as he's playing in England more of the time? Or would our money be better spent bringing in a couple of like targeted free agents where you don't have to pay big transfer fee? I don't know. You win something, you lose something. But the truth of the matter is, we know that this is like 99% done. Like he's not, he's not coming back. Maybe time for us also to move on to something else for discussion.
Yeah.
Like this. Sorry.
With Willian. Yeah.
There was another question earlier about Willian or Ziyech. I'm clearly in the Willian camp on that one.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, look, I was never a huge fan of Willian as a player, but I would be remiss to say that he wouldn't have value, right? Look, here's how I look at this whole thing, right? We have to find a way to get to pull together and find in two players the traits and the offensive traits and values that we liked in Podence, in Fortunis, and Horta, right? We have to find a way to find two players that can give us some of what we lost, though, in terms of those looks. Now, in a way, you can say, look, we did get something by bringing in Veld. Gelson Martins is available now for the European list. And those two give us for Europe different looks than maybe we had last season, right? So now we have to find a way to get the traits and characteristics in these next two signings that we are missing from the other three. So is there a way we can bridge that? And I think there is. With a player like Willian, absolutely. I think you get some very key traits, creative traits there. You bring in a player like Yazisi. Now you've got more traits. You've got different ones. It's going to be about finding the blend of traits that will be able to supplement what we lost, or best supplement those things that we lost. And given what we have here, that can also be different pieces that we can use compared to what we have. So as long as we're bringing profiles that give us a different look or can plug in those holes, I think we're fine. But Willian just played over 30 games in the Premier League. Is he too old? I'm seeing this here.
I think this is a really off-target comment to my friend Alex. Yeah. Willian, all his career was model professional. Probably if he comes tomorrow, he's fit or like 90% fit condition wise, not beer belly, overweight, needs 3 months to play centre mid because he can't cope at left back. Sorry, Marcelo. Truth hurts.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same situation at all. But anyway,
but like the whole like age thing as well. Like how old was Valbuena when we signed him? 35,
34, I thought.
Yeah, I think Willian has 2 years, 1 year. He can be the Tyson. Like it could be like Tyson.
Exactly. Look at him. Yeah.
Exactly. People thought Tyson was too old and he was super important. I think for a year, maybe when we need to bridge this gap and then, you know, see what happens with the young guys, see how they develop. I'm not against that, especially since that we have a nice core, we have a nice group of guys, and we're looking for now just the final pieces.
This is the one. This is the one that like is kind of, we've talked about it before, but it was like Horta, you know, right. He was so important. Just like do we have that rhythm changer to come off the bench? You could say if like we buy another winger and you could bring Gelson off the bench, you know?
Right.
Marshall, you made great points earlier about like looking at who our subs were, like the subs that came on in today's game, but you don't have that central midfielder that can come on and just like make something happen, man. You know, play a nice pass, like the vision.
But can we talk about the role though, like the profile of Horta? Like when you bring him on, like he doesn't run at people. Like that's not a guy that's going to run at people, take him on. It's his distribution that is elite when it comes to breaking these teams down. He's very good on the ball, very smooth, puts the ball exactly where it needs to go behind the defensive lines. So like if you can get that in a player that also maybe has some, even if he's an older player like Willian, for example, that can also run at people and isn't afraid to do that, and then also has that ability to distribute, then you kind of fill that role. You know what I mean? If we're bringing Horta back, then we really need to make sure that the winger that we get is a creative piece in the mold of somebody like Danny or Costa, because then you're kind of holding yourself. But I would like Horta. I love his set pieces. I love his distribution, but that only serves like one facet of the traits that we're losing, and we would really need to make up for it on the next. You get what I'm saying?
Also, something that I don't see the people wants a leader, but I'm sorry, but Fortunis for me has been labeled as a leader for so many years, and he never was. He never was a leader. He was a key player to win so many games in the Greek league, in some games in Europe. Overall, his statistics were amazing. His way of playing were amazing, but I don't call that a leader. Podense does not have a career that makes him a leader overall. It never became a leader at Wolverhampton too. But when you look at what made Iborra a leader, it's the fact that he won 4 European trophies. And I'm talking about the trophies that Olympiacos is aiming at, because Marcelo had won like, for, I don't know, 10 Champions League, but we're not playing Champions League to win it. We don't play Champions League anyway. But when you bring someone that has won a European trophy, we are going to play in. That's why Iborra was so good, and that's why Mendilibar was good too, because he knew how to turn a team with decent player on it into an underdog. And I think Willian is the one that will fill the leadership hole if we need to fill it. But this hole will be filled by quality players. The quality brings the leadership. But I don't know if it makes sense what I want to say, but you don't have a player that has only leadership and nothing else. When you look at
Iborra was also the size of a Titan, so I would follow anybody that's that gigantic anywhere. So
I'm looking at the Willian resume. Just he has 5 Ukrainian championship, which makes sense. 4 Ukrainian Cup, one. Fuck, it's in German. I don't understand. I think he went to a final with Shakhtar Donetsk. I don't know if they won it or not. He won the Europa League with Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yes.
Won the league twice. Won the Copa America once. He won the English Cup. He won the I mean, he knows how to win trophy, because some leaders, like I don't call Podence a leader too. Being a good player does not mean you're a leader. If you're a leader, you don't let down Carvajal. I'm sorry. You might want him to get fired, but you don't let him down like that. Also, Jovetic, for me, is not a leader because he decided to leave. Wasn't happy to be a sub. It's not that difficult.
Right.
Where is he now? He did not even sign in India. If you're Jovetic, your leader, you see that you probably know that Fortunis is not staying. You probably know that Podence might not stay. So basically, you renew and you start the season as a starter. The opportunity was huge for Jovetic too, I guess.
He took a gamble.
He wasn't happy with the playing time. Am I wrong on saying that?
No.
About Jovetic.
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
But that's why he didn't stay. But I mean, it's one of those. He's always been a bit of a journeyman in his career, though, as well, hasn't he? So he came here. He won a European trophy, and it's like, okay, I want to go somewhere to play more. There's nothing, I can stay here and win the league, but I won the biggest prize.
Right.
I don't know, man. I valued him for what he bought last season, particularly after Mendilibar came in and actually played him where he had to, could get the most out of him. I think he was a big part. He played a big role in getting us to the final, the Fener games. He got the goal at Batskatopola against Maccabi.
No, it's true.
He scored the goal after extra time, isn't it? The fifth. So no, man. Like for me, props. Like I rate him. I'm. I thought he was great in the final too. Him and Horta coming off the bench, but
way better final than Podence, by the way. From Jovetic.
Possibly right. Podence had that shot in the first half.
True.
When he was cutting in, and he had the header from the corner, but otherwise, anyway.
But also, we need to accept as fans that a success does not mean every player wants to stay. It doesn't happen only in Olympiacos. It happens everywhere. Like the biggest example for me would be, for example, when a team that no one counts on qualify, for example, to Champions League, like Brest, for example, in France, would be the best example. They were expecting to struggle for relegation. They ended up playing Champions League. Yeah. They can't keep key players. They all left. Because first, because of the money, or second, because they achieved something that no one expected, and they knew it can't be redone again. And that's what happened this summer at the club too.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, you can't pay everybody, right? And remember, before we got to the end of the season, we were talking about how many loans and contract renewals we needed to do. We didn't have a team. We had to renew everybody. Everybody wants to get paid more. And we did. We had to pay everybody more. And it's just how it is, man. You win a title, everybody wants more money. And that's just the case. Other teams come in. Some of these guys are free agents. So some teams are going to come offer them more money here and there. This is how it is. You can't pay everybody.
You also can't convince player to come and be subs. It's not possible.
No, you can't. It's not. It sucks. Look, these are realities. They're tough to stomach, especially when it's a player you love, like Danny. Like I I really wanted. It would have been my dream for us to sign him and present him, and then he has the number 7. Like, I couldn't have seen a better match for the number 7, personally. And so it's disappointing because now I look at it and say, who's going to wear that number here?
That was a question I had. Do you think that by midnight Tuesday next week, somebody's going to take that? Not just somebody, because please note on Yakuru's again. I think we're done with that, but
I don't think anybody gets this. You have to earn it. I don't think anybody gets the 7. Who would you give it to, man? Is there anybody that you think has done enough to earn that? I mean, is there a leader on the team that you think should be wearing it? I couldn't see it. I couldn't say anyone right now. I mean, maybe El KAABI. I don't know. I don't know. I right now I wouldn't give it to anybody this season. Personally.
Signing
depends on the signing. I still probably wouldn't give it to a new signing. The 7 needs to go to somebody that understands what it means and somebody that earns it. No more Onyekuru nonsense. That joker got the 7. Like, that should have been ripped away from him when he came with green hair. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care what the situation is. Somebody should have told that to him. I would have yanked the 7 away, but I don't know. Like, I'm not sure who I would give it to. I'm not sure. I don't think I'd give it to anybody this year, to be honest with you. Somebody has to earn it. Somebody has to step up. But that's just my opinion. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just how I see it.
I agree.
So, but I don't know. I don't know who. I just can't, like, looking at the players that we have. And don't get me wrong. Like, it's not that I don't like them. It's just I don't see, like, with Costa, it was different. Costa, like, became synonymous with Olympiacos, right? Not just because of his skill, but for how long he was at the club. Danny, who or Podence, he came back and he understood what the weight of the jersey meant. So I was comfortable giving it to him. I think of some other players who are wearing the captain's armband, right? Like Rodinei, for example, has been given the captain's armband, maybe Retsos, Masuras, but like, are you going to give Masuras the 7? I'm not giving Masuras the 7. I'm sorry. I'm not even comfortable giving it to Retsos. And Retsos is a guy I know that understands the weight of the jersey. But like, I can't, it's not something I can explain. I don't get that from him. Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't give him the 7 either. Nor would I give it to Rodinei. So I just wouldn't give it to anybody yet this year, unless somebody earns it.
Before we close up, how many signings are we making before the window's done?
Two attacking players and probably a left back. Left back will be like a loan. It's probably not going to be anybody crazy. Maybe a stopgap.
Do you think we can get Tagliafico for cheap, Marshall?
Yeah, surely.
Some people asked about that, and we can just say that Nagis has a good relationship with the owner of Lyon.
Yeah. I think we are really in a strong position to end the market. Does not mean we're going to sign permanent players, but a lot of clubs are trying to offload players, and Saudi Arabia won't be able to take them all. You have.
He's a big earner, though, right? Tagliafico.
Yes.
He's a big earner. It's like 4 million.
31 now, though, isn't he as well?
Yeah, I think it's 31. But Tagliafico is realistic, as Alex said, because in League One you had players, even Unai. It makes sense because Marseille has been trying to sell him for the whole summer, and it's not possible. So that's where Olympiacos steps in. Loan, first option we don't activate, and that's it. And Tagliafico will be permanent.
Do you think that the situation's changed now that we actually drew them in the group? Do you think that makes it more difficult? And if we actually do manage to get it, do you think that he starts for us over Ortega in the important games?
Yes, sure. It would start over Ortega for sure.
Of course he would, yeah.
I don't think it made it more difficult because He hasn't played with Lyon this season. He's out of the plans because I think he's a big earner, and they want him out. So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. I don't know what this guy is up to. Like, where does he want to go? Does he want to go back to Argentina? I don't think so. But yeah, it's that Tagliafico is kind of old school left back.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the one that's gonna. It's not an offensive left back as we had with, like, for example, Masuaku. You know, that they are almost wingers turned into a left back.
yeah.
I think Tagliafico would be good fit for us.
Can we talk about the somebody put a comment that Verveles said that a winger's coming that we know and knows us. Sergio Canos. Is there another winger that you would want to come back?
Canos.
That you can think of?
Why
we
would
haven't
he
done
leave,
well.
Why would he leave Valencia?
I think
I'm just
he's
saying.
not playing.
But what winger? We haven't had a lot of great wingers in the last few years. What winger would you want back here that has played here before? Sergi is like the first name that comes to mind for me.
I mean, he was like good in a shit team. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much he stands out in a team like this.
But here's the thing, and the profile, he's very hardworking, and that profile fits with the Mendy system. Like he would work, the pressing, the hard work. So I don't know. Like
what if it's just Willian?
Does he know us though?
But he knows the execs. I'm looking at Marshall now. Marshall's like deep in research on looking at former Olympiacos wingers over the last 10 years. Is there anyone there that kind of tickles your fancy? I can't think, man. Honestly, who have our wingers been over the past 5 years? Our wingers since Pedence left.
Knows us means he played against us. No.
That could also be it too. He's played against us too. Yeah, that's an option. I'm just picking of the players that played for us. Like Sergio Canos is the only one I can think of that like I would really want. Now, if we're talking about a player that's still playing that has played for our rivals, or a former opponent, you know, Aris had, but he's at Celtic now. Is it Luis Palma? He was a decent option, but why would he come back now?
Very good player.
Yeah, but I don't get why he would come back to Greece from Scotland.
Pedro Martins, 5 million for Abu Bakar Kamara.
Bruma. Here we go, Bruma.
Oh man,
that doesn't really tick any of the boxes. But look, I love the guy.
Bruma has been I think Bruma has been very good with Braga.
He's been good at Braga, hasn't he? Yeah. Is
he
still there, Marshall?
Yeah. Imagine you have fit Bruma and fit Gerson Martins on the same team. Remember Bruma against Olympiacos last season?
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
But if it's one of Palma or Bruma, no, but Bruma has been playing every Braga's game. I don't think it's possible.
No, they would want money for him. I don't see that happening.
He had 9 goals for us, man. His season wasn't that bad.
Rony Lopez. Somebody just said Rony Lopez.
No, he signed in Turkey.
Yeah, not happening. What about? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of
maybe George, maybe with a Spanish coach. I don't know, but I can't see him leaving Valencia. He wanted to go there.
Oh,
this one, Fortunis' teammate.
We are getting Tassos Donis.
God.
from Apwell because of his father took him Fortunis.
Some of these are great. Zairi. Josh Bowler went to Preston on loan. Sorry to disappoint you, Alex Karab.
Wait. What about not Greek league? What if it's somebody we played in like Conference League or Europa
Surely
League?
it has to be. Maybe could be. I was thinking about that also. About
What about that guy from Maccabi Tel Aviv?
Nicolas Gonzalez from Fiorentina. Where did he go? Is he still at Fiorentina? Did he leave?
He went to Juventus.
He went to Juve. Okay. Now the one you're talking about, Ari Milson. He went to. Wait, Milson went somewhere a bit random. Where did he end up?
Milson, fuck.
He went somewhere. He moved. Wait.
It's Zvezda, I guess. No.
Did he?
Yeah, he went to Zvezda.
Yeah, he went to Red Star. You're right.
We are getting back. We're getting back.
Friend of the podcast.
God. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Dionysius Verveles, for giving us more to talk about.
Yeah. Zinkernagel.
Kachveci, no way, man. After what he did yesterday, after what he did,
the answer is that Rangelovic coming back on the team.
Oh my God. Jesus.
And as long as he hasn't left the club, I'm still thinking he would be valuable in Greek league games. No one can prove me the contrary. Rangelovic.
Zinkernagel? Oh, Rangelovic.
Zinkernagel's gone to Bode Glimt. He transferred from. Okay, he went to Standard. His coach moved to Bruges. We sold him to Bruges. He played a season. They bought Zolis, and he got loaned out to Bode Glimt.
Yep.
Where he made a name for himself before he went to Forest. Anyway, big ups to Philip, friend of the podcast.
Those were dark ages, man. Yeah, I have a picture in mind I won't be able to forget is me and Lambros being close to the exit of the players and saying George Bowler that just arrived to Greece next to Karapapas. And I swear we told each other with Lambros that this guy, Bowler, he won't make it here. It's not possible.
I can imagine how Labra said it as well with
Englishman, the typical English guy in Greece, and you knew that this context wasn't.
Was he wearing flip-flops?
No, but I mean, it was more red than red. Like he was probably hot as fuck. Like he was sweating probably. And I mean, you had Karapapas next to him, and I was thinking, it's not possible. And it wasn't possible anyway. Yeah.
It reminds me of
surely it's Fiorentina player, man. I keep thinking about that.
I'm thinking about that as well. I've gone now to thinking about who we played in Conference League in the knockout.
It's either that or maybe Benrahma from Lyon, for example, because we have a good relationship with Lyon.
Yeah, but it's not somebody that knows us. He hasn't played against.
Yeah, he played with West Ham against us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
He's an interesting player, but he's not really consistent, is he?
I don't really like this player.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. He'd be expensive too, though.
Is not really interesting. Oh, it's 26. Would be good.
There's a lot of stuff to think about. Leon Bailey.
You wish, buddy.
Don't you dare put that in here. I get everybody upset.
Duran, whatever the other winger Aston Villa has.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I thought about Kouame as well, but that came out in the press, wasn't it? Nicolas Shearer said that was off, that we tried, but I look at us now speculating, thinking. If you're in the chat right now, let us know who do you think is going to be this winger that we know and knows us. So goddamn cryptic. Like, if you know something, just bloody say it, for God's sake. Sorry, I'm getting frustrated.
By the way, I think Seba was linked with Iraklis.
Yeah, that's Anthony.
Oh my God.
Ferran Torres. Jesus, where are these names coming from?
It's
What about
right.
What about Phil Foden? We played with City a few years ago.
I'm
Phil
gonna
Foden.
open Transfermarkt and see the
Wait.
games.
Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish. Has he been playing for City? He trained at Olympiacos training ground. He knows us. We know him.
Yeah,
You know who knows us, and certain national team coach played him on the wing a couple times.
He lost me.
Kostas Tsimikas, he's coming back.
He just posted on Instagram a big like a big portrait canvas of his dogs. So, man, he loves his dogs. I understand him.
Can we land a player from Fenerbahce? Not sure. Surely not a starter.
Who would it be? Kadioglu went to Brighton.
Exactly. So I'd take him.
That's the one I would have wanted.
Yeah.
We're talking about winger only.
Winger only.
So maybe it could be Genk player. Could be Mike Trezer. I think it was
Trezer. Didn't he move to Brighton?
He was supposed to get to Leeds. He went to Burnley. Never mind. Went to Burnley for 18 million.
What about who was the Ferencváros?
Pencil.
The guy on Ferencváros. What was
going to be Joseph Pencil.
Pencil moved. He left Genk, didn't he?
They sold the entire team, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
we'll be here all night thinking about names, and Hugo Kuipers is in here. Lazarus Christodoulos. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, Marquinhos.
Anyway.
I've been thinking about
Marquinhos.
There's a couple of really good ones.
Marquinhos from Ferencváros.
Yeah.
Emre Moore.
Stefano Shah. This guy.
It's Jovan Cabral, man. It's Jovan Cabral back on loan. I already was supposed to go to Mexico.
Man, do you think, like, this is pure speculation, but how pissed do you think that Mendes, super agent, might be about, giving us Cabral and what's the name of that other loser?
Vezo. Ruben Vezo.
Sorry, Vezo. Like, do you think he's pissed with us that we didn't use them? Or
I think that would be probably the biggest quality of Marinakis, is that you can play him, but not overplay him. I don't know if it makes sense, because look at club like Valencia. They relied on Mendes and it killed the club. It basically killed the club. And I think, I don't know how Marinakis operates, because even in multi-ownership, the fact that he's an Olympiacos fan is the only reason I have hope for the club. Doesn't mean I'm happy with everything what he's doing, but when you compare with like the Lyon owner, he's about to kill the club. He's just really about to kill the club.
Yeah. Anyway, we could be doing this all night. Do you want to just go do man of the match, coach's grade, and we can start wrapping things up?
Yeah.
All right, guys. There's been a poll up since the beginning of the show. Man of the match. Who is your man of the match? Go ahead quickly. If you haven't voted yet, a lot of you seem to have voted already. So go ahead, because once we give ours, we will read who the audience man of the match is as well. So who wants to get started? Martial, I say you get started. Who's your man of the match? It's probably all the same for all of us.
I'm going to say it's El KAABI. And I'm going to go further than that. I don't understand why Olympiacos fans do not wake up every morning being thankful that we renewed El KAABI. It's basically the biggest news of the summer. Either we don't like it or not. Doesn't matter how much money he gets on that new deal, because when you have a striker that can score another like that without being 100%, we barely saw that quality from a striker recently. I'm not talking about the entire history of Olympiacos. but we renewed a guy that was at some point the most clinical striker in Europe, and I'm not exaggerating telling that, even if it wasn't in the Champions League. But his ending of a season was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. We tend to forget that. Not even Potense did that in his career. He's not a striker, I know. But what El Kaabi did is unsinkable. And I was very afraid to lose him to Saudi Arabia, because this guy in Saudi Arabia, he would score goals like for 5 seasons. He could stay there forever, because I'm sure he will enjoy the place and be able to be good. But the thing is, we need to value that more, because he has 2 goals, 2 assists. If he can assist more than last season, and I'm not even thinking about what El Kaabi could do to this league. Because I think Mendilibar said that publicly tonight. He said, apart from the goals, he brings us so many things. And it is true. This is all I wanted to say.
Coach?
A nay, I would say, because the lineup was good, subs were good, so nothing to complain about. Not even the youngsters.
I want to have a look at the lineup that was your preferred lineup. So he had Costinha, or you had Costinha in yours.
Yeah.
Doy in midfield, and Masouras as a second striker, and Yaremchuk up front.
Yeah, no, but because it was justified, because I was claiming Yaremchuk because I wasn't pleased with El Kaabi, but Mendilibar say El Kaabi did it that game, and he was right. And also Masouras as a 10 probably not being able to do it. I just wanted Costinha to play, because I still have in mind what Martins did with newcomers back in the time. I didn't want that to happen again, but he came in, so I'm okay.
Costa?
I think Marshall said it perfectly about El Kaabi. So El Kaabi's my man of the match as well. I had Yaremchuk down in my preferred lineup before going into the game. I also generally like more of what I've seen in Yaremchuk's involvement in the game, like his link-up play with players around him. He's got a much nicer touch. But as Marshall said, like, it's just great to see El Kaabi do what he did today, man. That's what he's so good at. It's like he'll not, he might not touch the ball for 42 minutes and then, score a goal like he did today, that header over the keeper. Those runs that he makes off the ball is a constant.
Van Persie, man.
Yeah, he's a constant nuisance to the defenders. Yep. So El Kaabi, easy shout for me for man of the match. And coach's grade, I'll probably in the end, I mean, what can you say? Like, you won the game 3-0. Credit to him for keeping Pirola in the side. I think we need to say that, because if you take him out immediately and you just like throw Karma into the game, okay, we all know that's going to happen eventually. And there's a big discussion about whether or not we play 2 left-footed centre-backs. I can't see him doing that. Personally, I can't see him playing 2 left-footed centre-backs. I think he will always go for balance when he has players available. 1 right-footed centre-back to open up the play quicker. But I rate his decision to start Pirola, because he's been playing well first couple of games. And he's clearly trying to get Stamenic into rhythm. I'm not fully convinced so far. I think when Dani Garcia is fit, Dani Garcia is going to be a starter in this team, but we haven't seen enough yet. And the last thing I'll say is that as soon as the game went to 3-0, my immediate reaction was get the kids on. But his reaction was get Yaremchuk, Costinha, and Dani Garcia onto the pitch, which was the right decision. And it goes back to what we say a lot about him, is his experience, his no bullshit attitude, and he's just like a traditional manager that doesn't do anything fancy. He put those 3 players on because those 3 players need to get match fit and they need time on the pitch. And it would have been nice for us to see the young kids get on, but these guys are the ones that need to that are going to be more important to us realistically. So A for me.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I know who's the winger.
What?
It's fucking Suzu, man. He played in Kariskakis with Milan.
He's been linked, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Suso.
Hmm.
Did you see something, or did you just come to that?
No, it's Stefano sent that in the group, but I've seen his name coming in the press too today. They both played against Ajax, against us. You know, the year with Martins with the Fortunis penalty.
Was he under Mendilibar at Seville?
Surely.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And he's left-footed, so he'd give you something different.
He's left-footed. Yep, he was. Yeah, from 2020 to actually. Wait a minute. No.
Yeah, he's turning 31 in November.
Oh no, he would have had Mendilibar. Yeah, he would have.
Wow, his like market value went down
Big
drastically.
Time. Yeah, but Martial, yeah, I mean, he played under Mendilibar, so that's definitely an option, and he played against us.
For the reminder, do you want the lineup we had against Milan that day?
Oh, wait, can we see if we can we do it without looking at it?
I mean the game we lost in San Siro.
Oh, that's an even nicer challenge. Jose Sa in goal.
Yes.
Our center backs were Miranda and Miranda and Vukovic.
No, it's Miranda and Cisse.
And Cisse, damn. Okay. Okay. Left back was Tsimikas.
No.
Was it?
It was Kutris?
It was Kutris that assisted the first goal.
Was it
Torosidis
Andrus right back?
No, Torresidis.
Okay, I'm losing here. Ari, well done. Yaya Toure.
Yaya Toure played as a 10.
No, he didn't. Against Milan?
The funniest part of the lineup is
Pipas Nacho.
The two wingers, the
Nahuel.
Yeah, Nahuel on the left. Petpatis on the right.
And Guerrero on top.
Guerrero
scoring a nice header that the
he scored a great goal. Who was the other midfielder next to Nacho?
Guillerme.
Guillerme. Okay.
God, that's so funny. Anyway, all right, guys. So we were unanimous here. El KAABI and A for the coach's grade. The chat did not vary much from us. 62% of you voted for El KAABI, 22% for Chiquinho, and another 15% for Gelson Martin. So El KAABI was pretty much the undisputed MVP here. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Guys, any last comments before we close up?
We'll keep doing these daily transfer updates as well. A few more days to go. We do it until the last one is the 3rd, I guess.
Yeah.
The last one will be on Tuesday.
And it's deep dive season again, I guess. I had a nice break.
You've had it pretty good. You've had it good this summer.
Really good this summer. I've only had to do just July, man. I had to do a couple in July, and that was it. Early June, July, man. I've had it's been very easy, very different from last summer. So anyway, any player that comes in, of course, we'll do the scouting reports. Patrons will get early access to the scouting reports, and everybody else, when the player signs, they'll be available. So watch socials, a lot of fun stuff coming. Follow us on socials if you don't already. We're like 10 away, I think, from 5K on X. We're less than 200 away from 10K on Instagram too. So follow us on all social media platforms, like and subscribe. Help us connect the red and white.
I just want to end with something. You know who's the player I wanted to see come back to Greece? It's Marco Livaya.
Ah,
That guy.
Hajduk.
Honestly, I would take him right now.
Talented guy, but didn't he piss everybody off?
Didn't they win the league? No.
I don't think they won the league. I'm not sure they won the league, but this, I mean, it's 31, but I always love this player. With his own issues, of course.
Yeah.
But if you give him the Olympiacos jersey, say, okay, you piss off AEK fans, it will be even better, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my conclusion.
Anyway. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Daily transfer updates are going to be coming. We have a few more days to go, and then international break. So, new coach for the national team. We have Ivan Jovanovic, and it looks like the new EPO is making better moves than the previous one was. So, we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll do some national team coverage during the break. But until then, guys, thank you for tuning in. This is Tiros International by the fans for the fans, and we'll see you next time.
KAABI mágico, o fubá, gente,